Yes, everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so good afternoon, good evening to all, and those who are not in Vietnam, maybe good morning. This is a virtual networking event, and we keep it very casual. So welcome to Be in Touch, where we invite guests and they are expert in their industry, and we talk about what's going on, what is the challenges we face during the COVID time, and what will be the opportunity post-COVID. Let me introduce Mr. Samresh Kumar. He is the chairman and CEO of SkyX Solar, a Vina Capital company. So Samresh, please say a few words about you and your company and what you do in Vietnam.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, KP. Good evening, everybody. My name is Samresh Kumar. I'm the chairman CEO of SkyX Solar, which is a rooftop solar company focused on the commercial and industrial space. I founded this company within Vina Capital, where I am a managing director as well. Vina Capital is one of the largest investment management groups in Vietnam. I've been working for the last 20 odd years. First 10 years was largely investing and building businesses in India, Russia, UK, Africa, Middle East. And the last 10 years has primarily been in Vietnam, starting off with Masan Group and then now with Vina. Over the years, I've done more than 200 transactions, raised more than $1.5 billion, and very happy to be here with all of you in this virtual bar. Happy to share anything which I could, which might be of help to you.
Yeah, hello. So thank you, Lim Song, KP, and Jessica, for inviting me for this. I like this format because it's casual and it's not so formal, so it's good. Thank you. So I'm a corporate lawyer. So I'm the managing partner of Indochine Counsel, commercial law firm based in Ho Chi Minh City, and we have a branch office in Hanoi. And I have been in practice for I think more than 25 years. And here I saw some of my friends and also our clients like Ajay, Mr. Manish Surani, and also So it's thank you very much and good to see you.
But talking of M&A, I guess there is a significant amount of interest for Vietnam. M&A is largely a tool, right? M&A is not a sector; it's a tool, and the tool becomes very important when there is interest, right? And when we look at Vietnam, it is arguably the hottest market in the world for investment right now, with India, right? I mean, to some extent. So irrespective of the sector, industrial parks, renewable energy, consumer technology, we get interest from so many investors who want to co-invest with us or are looking for opportunities where they want to put their money and get an exposure in Vietnam. So that pretty busy actually. Last 4 months was very, very busy, and so it was very tiring because working from home and busy. You don't get to go for some release, so it was busy. Took a lot.
I was wondering, during the lockdown time, the investor cannot actually come, and they cannot do site visit. They cannot actually see face to face how this M&A deal goes. How do you operate from the lockdown situation?
Yeah, I mean M&A. In M&A, there's a lot of steps to it, right? I mean, there is diligence, there is conversations, meetings required with the owners of the company, the management of the company. So the lockdown, of course, did not allow a lot of that to happen, or it definitely slowed it down. Plus, also the buyers or the investors couldn't travel, so that slowed down. The appetite is still there. So nobody said that, okay, I would not do it. They said, okay, let's continue it. Maybe it will take longer, right? That is why where companies or investors which had some presence in Vietnam, right? Either one person here or some business, then they were slightly easier and faster to operate. But a company or an investor which had no presence in Vietnam, then of course that slowed down during this time. But is that slowed down for long, or is that a short-term slowdown, right? Is it so? I think we definitely believe it's a very short-term slowdown, and as the market just opens up logistically, there would be a flood of people coming in wanting to invest.
Wow.
Well, that's a good news. That we got to cheer to that.
Yeah.
Cheers! Yeah, for Vietnam.
Yeah.
If you're not drunk by the end of the talk, then something is wrong.
Yeah.
Coming to Mr. Duke.
In terms of market, I also share with Samresh that still more and more interest for Vietnam market, because it is an emerging market and still growing. Still a lot of opportunity, and of course the pandemic have affected a lot. Impact have a lot of impact on the M&A deal, but I think it is short term. And mostly it is slowed down or delays the due process only. But if just good company or good investors, they still go. That means the life still go. And normally we have to take in more technology so that we can overcome the impact from the pandemic, like technology, like a virtual data room, like electronic transactions, digital transaction document. And of course, it's also delay a lot, like we cannot meet the management of the target, we cannot conduct site visit. The lockdown, long-time lockdown, so delay like decision-making process, the situation may change, and contract negotiation, etc. So we also have to work with client to plan for the lean processing so that we can minimize the impact from the pandemic because of the lockdown, because of the travel restriction, because of logistic disruption, etc. But I think normally it's a good deal. I think they still go, but certain delay, like normally 2 months or 3 months. Even this year we have gone through. We have closed quite a few interviews, but this also have about, I think, 3 or 4 months delay because of the regulatory approval from authority, because they stopped. They received application dossier, but very difficult to handle that, and then wouldn't have to stop for last, I think, full lockdown 2 months or 3 months in Saigon.
Okay. So Duke, let me ask you something, Mr. Duke. The pandemic has obviously impacted, you say, the duration and the process, the delay. But has there been, also this is a question for Samresh as well, has there been any changes in terms of how M&A itself is conducted because of the pandemic?
I think it changed a lot for the new process. We have to plan for the new process, like plan for closing, for condition precedent. We have to move certain things to post-closing to avoid because the parties still want to close. But we need to be more flexible, taking use of technology and taking use of the digital signature, electronic transactions. So still go, because mostly the cross-border transactions, so normally the party select for like a foreign law, like a governing law and foreign distribution agency. So I don't think this impact a lot, but yeah.
Okay. How about Samresh? What do you think?
Yeah, I'll just give the example of the deal which 2 deals which I'm working on and is got closed, and the second one actually should get closed in the next 1 hour. But a lot of technology is being used, and people are very comfortable with this now, right? So with this one deal, the European investor, but because they had one local business development person here, it helped. But still, I mean, the deal was large enough that the headquarters was driving it. But we signed the binding definitive documents through DocuSign as much as possible, right? So then the CPs, a lot of it was done wherever wet signatures one can avoid through the virtual calls and so on. I think these would not have been heard of pre-pandemic times, right? Even when we are doing the closing right now as we speak, a lot of the closing steps are being done through some DocuSign, some, as Duke mentioned, putting it to post closing as a condition subsequent and so on. So the key driver is the interest level of the investor, right? If the interest level is very high, then some of these logistical issues you are more flexible with. It's like a guy and a girl meeting, right? I mean, if both like each other and they want to live in that city, they'll find, they will not worry about minor things, right? The bigger things they'll worry.
Right. And I think another the observation I would like to say is that apart from some sector like Samresh say, like FMCG, like retail, like renewable energy, like industry and real estate, we have seen quite a lot of interest in technology coming in Vietnam for like from the digital economy or sharing economy. Like we have a lot of startup coming or tech startup in various industry like PropTech. We just close a pre-0 A for a PropTech firm is quite good, and everything we do like online. Even they have not opened the new premises or something like that now, but investors still very confident for their future, and they still close the deal. And we also advise a lot startup in like edtech, healthcare, insurtech, digital bank, like a fintech or peer-to-peer lending. So this is startup in Vietnam. I think is quite active, and I think more and more investors from the region and around the world. I think Samresh also knows that from Vina Capital because they're also very active in that various sectors, like insurtech or PropTech, etc. So I think it's one of areas that Vietnam have advantages from the young population and I think quite educated IT staff, workforce. So I think more and more interested in that, and normally that's tech startup they can minimize impact from pandemic. So although
Mr. Duke, let's cheers before we talk further.
I like that.
My throat is getting dry now. Cheers.
We're not allowed to talk for more than 5 minutes without drink.
Mr. Duke, there is one thing during the pandemic or maybe like last 18 months. Have you seen that reverse M&A happening? Like Vietnamese companies are buying or investing into foreign companies. Like recently, today I was reading one newspaper. The E-Mart from Korea was bought over by a Vietnamese company called Thaco. Okay. So it's a reverse M&A. Yeah.
I lead that transaction and I advise for the buyer is Thaco, is our buyer. So I can share with you some, but it's very interesting news that we got more and more. I think in Vietnam you can see the trend is that now is more and more very good private group like Samresh. They have to work with Ma San and they have developed very fast in terms of corporate governance, in terms of their staff skill, etc. So they have become more international. And E-Mart is a very interesting case that Thaco have expanded to that sector. And the pandemic also have delayed the process, but the party have agreed for the future plan for that, and they sure to go ahead. But anyway, it have I think a few month delay. I think they just closed on 27 last month. After a few month delay as our original plan, because of the delay in regulatory approval and also physical meeting, because for certain procedure, they still need for execution of wet ink signature for certain banking doc. For example.
And yeah. Sam, you are also feeling the same thing about Vietnamese company getting more stronger and they are showing their interest to buy foreign companies?
Yeah, I think that's a good question, KP. Even when we look at the corporate landscape in Vietnam, right? I mean, there are very few companies which are very big, right? Thaco, Masan, Vingroup, and Mobile World, and so on, right? And Novaland. So you have a sector. In each sector, there would be one or two having a very disproportionate market share in that sector. The rest would be very small, right? So when you take those top two companies in each sector, then you can say, okay, these can likely can be the buyers, right? Now, are there enough sellers in Vietnam? Now, again, depending on which sector. Now, E-Mart, that supermarket retail, that's a very cutthroat competitive sector, right? So maybe, E-Mart decided to exit, but there are not many sectors where foreigners are exiting, to be honest, not many. So I don't see a lot of Vietnamese companies buying foreigners out because there are not many sellers, right? And for Vietnamese companies cannot go out and buy because it's very difficult to take capital outside Vietnam. You need Prime Minister's approval and so on. So we will see some acquisitions like Masan acquiring Winmart, but less so. Also because controlled transactions, right? Majority stake transactions are less available in Vietnam, right? People don't want to sell majority. It's their baby. They want to grow it till it goes totally bad, or you get a very, very good price, or the second generation doesn't want to continue. Then, but otherwise, typically you don't get controlled transactions. So minority transactions, corporates typically don't do. It's only funds like Vina, Mekong, they would, do minority transactions.
Yeah,
right?
You are right. For the Vietnamese buyer, of course, they want majority, but they cannot do like a professional investment firm like Vina Capital or Mekong Capital or Bank Invest or something like that. So because of the level of corporate governance, etc., mostly the private group here actually are still. Mostly still private groups still family business, so they still grow in terms of the corporate governance, in terms of the
So let's cheer again then. Change the topic.
Got a drink.
I would like to ask the analysis about the investor. Who are buying? Who are thinking about investing in Vietnam? From Europe or America or Japan, Korea?
The whole. I mean, Koreans are probably the largest investor in Vietnam. Then Singapore. From Singapore, there's a lot from Hong Kong. Whether it's from China, China comes a lot through Hong Kong, right? Hong Kong. Then, if you look at some sectors, for example, clean energy, that is where from Europe, there's a lot of investment. From Thailand, there's a lot of investment because of low cost of capital, and Europe wants to get into clean energy, right? When we look at LNG to power, that's where the Americans are, investing a lot because they want to trade LNG. Or sell LNG. So depending on sector to sector, but I mean, amongst all, Koreans are the most aggressive, and they can move very fast as well. And we have Mr. Lim.
Actually,
we get. Are you buying any?
Yeah, we get a lot of inquiries. One of the fundamental problem that I see happening with the Korean investors, oftentimes their interest is heavily focused around, say, real estate. or right now the heavy thing is in biomedicals and pharmaceuticals. But one of the first things they always ask for is majority control. And as what you mentioned, the Vietnamese don't want to give up the majority control. So I think there's a bit of a issue with that.
Interesting.
Mr. Duc, especially to you, I heard like in the region, the valuation of many assets, especially the real estate assets, the hospitality sector is most affected during the COVID time. And I was told that lots of hotel, a small hotel, 3-star, 4-star are for sale in Vietnam. Have you come across this kind of things?
Yes, but that's talk a lot of in public media, but I do not see the increase due in hospitality and hotel business, because some do. I forgot the price low now, but the real interest, I don't think it's high, because the global market.
Probably domestic.
Yeah.
Domestic acquiring. Yeah.
Not so many. I think it's more and more in terms of the local investor, if they have strong financial capacity, so they can acquire some. But normally it's not easy to deal with that. We have some clients, they want to sell hotel in Da Nang or even in Saigon or in other big cities, but very hard to find investor.
So Sam, which sector you think that post-COVID there will be a kind of a good opportunity so that our listeners can benefit? Which sector we should focus? Any particular sector you think?
As an investor?
As an investor, which sector is like the post-COVID will be kind of very hot sector?
Yeah, I mean, there are few sectors which have more tailwinds than the others. Like industrial real estate is one sector which is very, very hot, right? When we look at Vietnam is the new factory of the world, right? More and more factories are getting shifted out of China. More new factories are getting built here. India is the competition of Vietnam, but we know, I mean, there are it's not easy for a foreign company to invest and build out in India compared to Vietnam, and there are much more advantages on the industrial manufacturing sector in Vietnam. So that is one sector which is growing. There are so many industrial parks getting built, more and more, and we're seeing more and more interest from companies wanting to build manufacturing here. Right? I mean, there are news we are seeing, one Nike factory is thinking of, going outside Vietnam because of COVID lockdown. But, those are just thinking, and those are, I think, just putting a pressure on.
Maybe it is a bar talk only, is it? People just get tipsy and talk about Nike moving out. It's not
true. Where will they go?
That's why we are open now. That's why we are unlocked.
Exactly. But if they where will they go is the question.
Yeah.
That's why the kind of the clarification came immediately in the newspaper from the
exactly.
Yeah, because actually, I do not have any factory, but they order from other in Vietnam. Where they go?
Yeah, where would they go? So I think that sector is very, very hot. Second, I think clean energy, anything related to clean energy, right? Whether it's rooftop solar, wind, waste to energy, LNG. A huge interest, and for the next 5 to 10 years, there is, it will only accelerate, right? A lot of money wanting to come in. Consumption sector, anything to do with F&B, that's because 100 million population, and obviously their salaries are increasing. They have more disposable wealth, so that's a huge driver. What else? Healthcare, yes. Technology for sure, but that's a very different sector to invest in. Technology.
It's more for healthcare, for IT, and for education.
Yes, education as well.
Oh, yeah, education.
Yeah, because we also have a client that closed very big deal this year on education.
Yeah,
it's one investment from KKR. So I think this education is a very fast growth sector in Vietnam in the next 10 years. Yeah.
Is there
Yeah, I
any,
think,
is there any opportunity like investing into education sector? Is it easy or is so difficult?
I think it's quite open now. I think there's a few restrictions, but normally the party can manage. Yeah, but mostly it's open now.
And we
what do
talked
you-
about
Yeah, go ahead, Jessica. Go ahead.
yeah, talking about education. You talk about you have to hire teacher or professor, and also all the investors. They will have to transfer their managers over here. But I know from this lockdown for this last 4 months, the labor department actually changed several times for the the expatriates work permit issue. Now it's getting difficult. So how does that play in the MMA field?
Normally, most of school they first do online learning, and they use technology platform. And of course, in terms of the teacher, so they have to use mostly the teacher based here in Vietnam. So they still can stay. Of course, the new one coming from abroad is in the shortage. But most of the private school, like semi or international school, so they shift very well to online platforms. So I don't think it's quite an issue. But for some of our clients, so we got like for international school or semi international school. So here they offer that to rich family or more than middle level family, so they can afford to pay that. So they are quite comfortable with online platform, at least now. Yeah.
Okay. Cheers, Mr. Duke. No, let's break it.
So the expatriate work permit delay doesn't actually affect the MMA?
It have a part, but I think it's not a very critical issue. Yeah.
I think, Jessica, the expatriate coming to Vietnam for any sector is the same. Everybody is facing the problem. Work permit problem. People cannot come because the logistic is the issue.
Not just logistics.
Jessica, I remember I was telling you about right now the situation. Even Vietnamese overseas cannot come into Vietnam.
Yeah, right. But issuing work permit is different. It's being shorter and shorter for the period that
I think many business chamber has taken up to the labor department.
Because
and I think they are looking into it. They very soon. I think once the immigration office will start working and tax office will start working, all these things will be sorted out soon. Because many people have raised, many business chamber have raised to a very high level.
Yeah.
I think our like the many of our listeners must be knowing more than us about this one, because everybody is facing the same problem, like work permit issue and renewal of the work permit. I think, Sam, you have any issue with the work permit right now?
Actually, that's that's a pain point where, because my work permit expired in September while we were during lockdown, right? So, and residence card expired in end of September, and I was asked again, because of that recent regulation, that I've got to have these.
Don't say that you are here illegally, is it right now?
Right now, illegally. Yeah.
Oh, you heard it. Chairman and CEO is an illegal alien.
And your credit card can't work anymore.
Yeah, the credit card can't work. Though my ATM works. ATM can't work. I have cash, and cash works in Vietnam, as we all know.
Sorry, go ahead with what is story, yeah.
But yeah, basically, they have these requirements, right? You've got to give this proof of your experience in your home country or the country before where you were, working before Vietnam, right? And I've been working here for so many years, so I had to contact, the company which I worked like 10 years back and so on, and and so we need this certificate, and then they said, oh, you have this certificate, you have to notarize it in there, whatever in embassy in India as well. So we, my team is talking to the agent to see if we can, do away with this requirement.
No more clarification needed.
So they're trying.
No, we don't talk about this dual wave things here. Okay, careful.
No, we just
Everything
ask.
is recorded.
Cheers on that. Cheers on that.
Yes.
Yes.
Don't
yes.
worry, we will edit that part out. We'll just get Ho Chi Minh to talk to them.
No, but I heard that I think the government is a little lenient now on this because there was, as KP mentioned, there was a lot of furor because of those requirements, right? So the government is slightly lenient on this one now.
Oh, okay, good news. Yeah.
But proof is in the pudding. I still have to get my work permit, so I don't know. But
Good
let's see.
luck with that. Good luck with that.
Let me ask you this on the M&A side for both Duc and Samresh. For M&A activities for foreign buyers coming into Vietnam, is there any particular questions or concerns they typically have that is representative of investing in Vietnam?
Yeah, I mean, okay, I'll take it first. I think basically there are three levels which any investor which has to cross, right? One is the country level, and the country level, most investors are, as we discussed, is very, very interested. The second is the company level, right? Now, assuming the investor is already, interested in the specific sector, so sector is out, so then the company. So within the company, then there are questions like, how good is the management? Are they professional enough? Are they skilled in the sector in which they operate? Are they trustworthy, right? Would they follow corporate governance? That becomes very important, right? So that you can have conversations over Zoom calls and so on, but that sometimes, you've got to meet face to face, right? So some of that, it can be tackled through virtual, but it can't be 100% handled, offline. After the company, bridge is crossed, then it is the deal, the transaction, right? What is the valuation? What are the terms? What are the exit terms and so on, right? What rights do they have? Those kind of stuff. So I think the first level is fast. The second level, to a large extent, virtually can be done, but it cannot be 100% done without meeting face to face, right? You've got to meet in a bar as well, and to see whether you can be in the same bed together or not, right? Because you've got to be.
And especially with the
How
Korean,
they behave after alcohol.
and especially if it is a Korean investor, you have to go to karaoke.
That I don't know. I don't have any Korean investor, but yeah.
Yeah, you gotta know each other, whether you can respect each other after heavy drinking the night before.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Whether you can be in the, be together, discuss for longer periods of time and have that trust while you disagree as well, right? So that can be that can only happen when you meet face to face, and that chemistry you can test. And transaction is is more science, but that is both parties have to really negotiate if are comfortable.
So I'm hearing that there is nothing really particular about deal M&A in Vietnam that they have a similar concerns.
No, I think at a deeper level, investors which know the market very well, I think they understand that it's not a country where you can invest and take a stake and then be very passive, right? Where you sit on the board, get quarterly reports, and then ask questions and so on. If they understand Vietnam, then they would take a view that they would have to roll up their sleeves and work with the management little bit and provide help wherever help is required, right? Because the country has grown so fast and amazingly well, right?
Sorry to intervene you. So do you think that Vietnamese will like you to be inside the company and manage them?
Not inside. So if you be inside and manage, the deal is off. So I don't think a lot of deals would happen. So that is where the EQ aspect comes in from the investor, right? How do you build the trust with the company so that they can listen to you? And the way you tell to the company as well is very important. If you tell in a manner that, listen to me because I've done this, that doesn't work, right? You've got to first build the trust. And then with trust, then you've got to point out that, okay, these are some of the aspects which can help. For example, you need a CFO, you need, if you're wanting to grow next, you need X capital, and all this work will be done. You have a very good accountant, but you need a CFO. Right? I will tell you, I sit on the board of a genetic testing company and helped the company raise the next round of capital. And it took me, even after building this trust and so on, many months to convince the founders and the management team that they really need a CFO. And after they got the CFO, then, after 2 months, they were very thankful that yes, yeah, we could have got it sooner. But, so it's how you tell, and, you've got to help on someone.
You need a lot of patience in Vietnam, isn't it?
Yeah, huge.
Cheers to that.
Cheers.
Be patient.
Too much patience, KB.
I got a human resource and finance background, so I'm really interested in what the investors are asking about when you say management skill. How good are they? What exactly they are asking about? What skill?
So I think I can tell you from my perspective as an investor, right? So I look at two things. One is one aspect is basically how good are they in their sector, right? So when you look at the management team as well, some person might have very strong marketing skills, some person might have very good technology skills, functional skills, right? So how good are they and how complementary are they, right? So as a company, how strong are they in their sector? The second, I guess, also is very important is on the attitude side, right? How important, how good they are, in accepting what they don't know and willing to listen.
Okay, interesting.
Right? I think that's important for early stage and mid stage companies, right? Nobody is right? Nobody is right, but one should be able to share with one's experiences and can grow together. But how open they are. And third is and third is integrity actually, and corporate governance.
The trustworthy.
It's challenging thing. So Mr. Duc, you are also dealing with so many Vietnamese companies, and the foreigners are investing into minority. So what are the challenges they face? The same question, like they have any major questions, major challenge before investing into a Vietnamese company?
I do agree and share some with Samresh. From investor perspective, I think they would care about the level of corporate governance and transparency in Vietnamese target company. And in fact, I think for the last 20 years, some of the investors, like investment fund, if they was involved too much in interference in the target company, I think it did not work. But they need to be more active and more flexible, and I've got more patience working and helping the management or promoter of the target company to grow, even to help them to build, to improve their capacity, like a capacity building, so that we can have a better level of control and corporate governance. Because I think corporate governance is still an issue in Vietnam for most of the companies, especially for family business, for small company or startup companies. So that is the most.
And Sam, there is one thing which may you may answer or you may not answer it. Like these are all good things we are talking about M&A. But is there any deal has gone wrong and you have gone to the court and there is a legal action, and you think that legally in Vietnam the foreign investors are protected by the law?
Have there been cases? Yeah, there have been cases. Are foreign investors protected? They are protected, but as law, it takes its own course, and it takes its own time, and that if you go through the whole process, you're not sure whether you've really got what you wanted to in the beginning, right? Vina had one, which was very publicized, right? Vina Capital had invested in one company in the meat space, And even after investing in the company, signing binding agreements, I mean, the promoters decided that they don't want to do it, right? So, I mean, then there were discussions, and then the deal was unwound, right? So legally you have protections, but it's not like you can enforce those and resolve it in a very timely manner, right? So you have to be comfortable, and that is where when you have to meet the promoters and the management, and you have to have that comfort level as well, so that worst case, if there are issues, you can sit at the table and then try to resolve it amicably.
I can say with you one case I have observed for so many years. I have clients because they invested back in 2008, and at first the investors, they send the CFO, they impose a lot of like a reporting regime, etc. But in an emerging market like Vietnam, so the founder or CEO or the chairman, they need to be flexible to make fast decisions. So that case, the client investor have gone through a lot of argument or dispute, but then they have a change, and because they understand each other more, and they agree for the new protocol of working together.
After fighting, they understand each other.
Yeah. So
that's marriage, right? That's marriage.
No.
Yes.
Marriage.
I think the most important is that the targets did work very well.
Do you think that in Vietnam also something can happen like what has happened in China? Because here also the many investors, local investors, they are raising the bond, they are raising fund using the bond without any collateral. This can happen in Vietnam also. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, could happen. We at Vina Capital, obviously, we have a big research team and an economist as well, and we looked at that, this question in detail to see whether this could happen in Vietnam. And especially then, the team looked at the top 10 real estate companies and see how leveraged they were. And their business and so on, and the view at the end was unlikely to happen in the next few years, right? Later on we will see. The market is in upswing. It probably will continue to be in an upswing for a few years in the real estate as well, barring a few pockets. And the companies are fairly strong. So we the house view is that not expected to happen in Vietnam.
Mr. Duke, any comment on this?
I also agree with Samresh. I don't think the thing will go like in China, because actually I'm on the fund representative board of Techcombank bond fund. So actually the corporate bond developed very fast in Vietnam. Certain like small insurer do something very fast and very risky, but most of the good developers like Novaland or Masan or others, so I think they do mostly listing and public the IPO, and they follow higher standard. Only some small developers, they issue corporate bond without any collateral or something like that, but it's not so much. So I don't think that it will go that big like China.
So coming on the kind of a renewable sector, of course, there is a lot of talk. Many companies are coming into this space, renewable energy. But I heard about a lot of uncertainty, especially with the government policy. And still the government is not clear that how they want to play this kind of policies and how they will play with this sector.
So Samresh, basically, you're closing a deal, you get a strategic investor. What was the sales pitch?
The sales pitch was, Vietnam is hot. We are in the right space. We have all the pieces put together. Whether it's on the management team, whether it's on the client acquisition side, and we had the right story. So for the next 3 years, the development pipeline was there. And then the pitch was just come on board and then, partner with us and then just grow. Fairly simple. It didn't take long to convince, I can tell you. I mean, it's obviously as I said, company, sector, and country were easy. Then it's transaction. Now, of course, transaction terms, right? What is the valuation? What information rights do you have? What exit rights do you have? What management rights do you have? That requires a lot of discussions, and how would you operate once you're together, right? But before that, it was that was.
So you mentioned previously that the deal availability in Vietnam compared to the amount of money that wants to be invested in Vietnam was disproportionate.
Yes.
Could you share that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'll give you an example of SkyX itself. Why did I start SkyX, right? I had joined Veena around 4.5 years back, and looking at private equity deals from the balance sheet and new platform developments, and identified that renewable energy sector is one sector which will grow for the next 5 to 10 years. So our DNA, or Veena's DNA, is private equity investing. So I started looking at companies where I could take a minority stake, sit on the board, let the management do the hard work, and I grow with them. So this was 2.5 years back. I had deep discussions with 2 of the local companies here. And of course, the sector is new, so the companies were newer as well. They've been operating for last 2 years. One was 2 years and the other was operating for 3-4 years. After 6-9 months of deep discussions, we signed term sheets and so on, we realized that we were doing a lot of the work in terms of business development, in terms of setting up systems, processes, financial modeling, contracts, and so on. But to be honest, we were still not totally comfortable that the corporate governance would be followed. So doing all that, then I said, okay, then I went to my board and said, this rooftop solar is a sector which is not just dependent on the policy and subsidies. It is a very techno-commercial business, right? It's a lot of deal making, and we have the right skill sets. Of course, there will be a lot of work, but why don't we start it? So I pitched internally to Veena, and then I started this. And so that was the reason, right? I mean, there was capital wanting to come in, right? We were wanting to put in capital, but we did not find. So I had to start. And it's the same, there is a lot of capital wanting to come in, a lot of capital. But when they go through these diligence process, whether it's technical, financial, legal, corporate governance, integrity, and so on, then the funnel becomes small, and then the target set becomes small, which I see in many sectors. And maybe Duk, you can help, right? When you see companies coming in,
they don't find the deal. They don't find the appropriate.
Don't find the deal, or how many issues do they find when they start diligence? What is the percentage when they, of the transactions which get closed, for example?
So if you go from the country, I mean, obviously the country is hot, and there's all the macroeconomic data that shows it's great. Now you go down to the industry. Obviously, most of the industry are growing across the board. Now, when it comes to the governance, that becomes an issue, or integrity, that becomes a question mark. How much of the deal fails from this level?
I think a lot, where because the norms for a foreign investor, the FCPA guidelines and so on are huge, right? The processes are there as well. You've got to have approvals or delegation of authority, where you've got to take decisions at the management level, after which you've got to take to the board. So there are a lot of these processes. Now, if the management team is willing to make these changes, right, and grow on this, then the deal can happen, right? But if you don't find that it can happen, then the deals don't happen, right? So I think, a lot of deals not happen, but maybe Duk can share more, because I see it from my perspective. and I see, competitor.
I mean, we are left with only 3 minutes. So if anybody has any questions,
I also share that with you that many things fail because when it turned into the investor and management agree for the KPI. So the management team or promoter of the target, they have a different understanding. So we have gone through some big deals that it takes a lot of time for the party to agree on the KPI, on how reporting will be done, how the corporate governance will be done, and even how the new compliance program will be developed for the whole group or something like that. Because for many Vietnamese companies, especially for family business, only is one guy they make a decision, and they did not see that at the beginning when the party has signed the term sheet. But when it turned to the final negotiation, or it turned out like one guy from Vinacap earlier that when they saw the term of the definitive agreement, it turned out that it's not what they have expected. So that caused the deal to fail.
So just roughly, just a quick number. Just put a number. How many percent of the deal that fails because of that stage, you think?
Maybe percentage-wise, isn't it?
Yeah.
I do not have a very specific.
It's a bar talk, Doug. It's just anything goes. We're not going to hold you to it. It's just going to be on YouTube.
50-50? 50-50
No,
just because.
I think it's at least 1/3 or something like that, or 50.
Wow, that much. How about, what do you think, Samresh?
Yeah, I mean, I'll blame it on the drink, but yeah, around 33%. I would say. Yeah.
Your drinks.
What are you talking about? Your drink is like protein shake.
Good man. Anyhow, so if last 1 minute, if you have
1 minute. It's closing.
Anybody has any questions? I can see Ajay. Any question? Alok, any question?
No, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to have something new thing to start, and hope that you all continue and we because understand the topic of each other. That can be very nice.
Right.
So
and
cheers.
Yes,
he's got a finger up.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
We all are very happy that COVID restrictions are less now, and we can go out to some extent.
Hopefully next time we will do it in the park, in a real park.
Cheers.
Sure. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Take care. Bye.
And Jessica, I know. Yeah.